All right, so welcome to Brainworx Education Civic Education BootCamp. Today we're going to be reviewing the Civic Education 2030/1, November 14th, 2023, Section A paper. So if you're ready, let's get to it. All right, so this is a 2-hour, 30 minutes paper. So Section A includes 20 questions. And all these questions are compulsory, so you have to answer all questions. Section A, 4 suggested answers are given, A, B, C, D. So you have to choose the best answer and mark an X in the answer booklet. As you are marking an X in the answer booklet, always make sure to first write down your examination number, because certain people have failed an exam because they have forgotten to indicate their examination number. Therefore, I urge you all to first write your examination number before you can proceed to attempt Section A. Let's move on. So answer all questions in this section in the answer booklet provided by putting a cross on the letter you have chosen as your answer. So please read instructions carefully. Question 1. From the following, identify the commission that paved way for the formulation of Zambia's electoral system. From the following, identify the commission that paved way for the formulation of Zambia's electoral system. A. Choma Constitution Review Commission. B. Mungoba Constitution Review Commission. C. Mwanakatwe Constitution Review Commission. D. Buga Constitution Review Commission. What is your answer? I will give you 5 seconds to answer this question. Okay, so let's move on and examine the answer in detail. So in order for you to understand this question and for you to attempt to answer this question correctly, you first have to know what is a Constitution Review Commission, because nothing is set in stone. There's a paradigm shift that's happening. New rules are being formed. The society is gradually transforming. Therefore, a constitution shouldn't just remain rigid. A constitution is also subject to change. Therefore, a Constitutional Review Commission, abbreviated by CRC, is a body established by a government to review, amend, or draft a national constitution. Its purpose is to examine the existing constitution. So you're looking at the existing constitution. You identify areas that require reform, and you recommend changes to address emerging political, social, and economic needs of the country. Like I said, society gradually changes every year, every decade. So you have to sit down and review. So it is these constitutional review commissions that are set in place. In Zambia, before and after independence, these commissions have been formed to ensure that the constitution remains relevant to the Zambian public and reflects the aspirations of the citizens. They often involve consultations with the public to ensure inclusivity as well as transparency. So let's look at the types of constitutional review commissions in the history of the Republic of Zambia. So Zambia has had several constitutional review commissions since independence, each addressing specific political contexts and challenges. So within each constitutional review commission, you have to know the specifics, and you also have to know how to explain those specifics highlighted by each constitutional review commission. because this can also be an essay type question. Therefore, below are the main commissions in Zambia, in Zambia's history. So the first one was the Choma Constitution Review Commission. So this was a little bit after independence in 1972, which was more focused on the UPND. So its purpose was to facilitate the transition to a one-party state under the United Nations Independent Party. So UPND wanted a one-party state. So the outcome, the introduction of a one-party system, ensuring ensuring UNIP, did I say UPND? Sorry. So one-party state under United Nations Independence Party, UNIP, in 1972. So the outcome was the introduction of a one-party system, ensuring UNIP as the sole political party. So what was the key criticism? It wasn't really democratic. And remember, the basis of the Constitutional Review Commission is to reflect the needs of society and to also reflect the needs of the citizens. So the major criticism was the limited political freedoms and suppression of multi-party democracy. So this is the first Constitutional Review Commission, the Chona Constitutional Review Commission. So Chona, one-party system under UNIP. One can even say, okay, so Chona Constitution Review Commission, the ON here, Chona, you can say one-party state for you to remember the main highlights of that. So that's a study technique that you can use, or a mnemonic that you can use to remember that the Chona Constitutional Review Commission was affiliated with UNIP, and it was a one-party state system in 1972. So the Mvuga Constitutional Review Commission, 1990, paved the way for modern electoral systems. So they sat down and said, this one-party state is not necessarily a representative of the democratic principles that we fought for during the fight for independence. So its purpose, the Mvuga Constitutional Review Commission, its purpose was to prepare for Zambia's return to a multi-party democracy after the widespread dissatisfaction with the one-party system. It was chaos. The outcome, recommendations led to the reintroduction of a multi-party politics and the 1991 Constitution, which formed one of the good basis for democratic principles. And it laid the foundation for the modern electoral systems. So Mvunga Constitution Review Commission, you can remember this M here. So Mvunga, you can say, okay, we're now moving towards the multi-party democratic system. We move on to the Mwanakatwe Constitution Review Commission, which is 1993. So the Mwanakatwe Constitution Review Commission, its main purpose was to address governance and constitutional weaknesses identified after the introduction of a multi-party democracy in 1991. So we've introduced multi-party democracy. So how can we reform and make that better? So that's where the Mwanakatwe Constitutional Review Commission came in. Outcome, proposed stronger democratic governance measures, but most recommendations were not fully implemented until further. Some of the criticisms is that there was a delay in implementation and partial adoption of its proposals. We now move on to the Mungobe Constitutional Review Commission of 2003, which is a little bit more current. So its purpose was to draft a more comprehensive and more people-driven constitution that addressed gaps in governance, human rights, as well as checks on executive power. And at least it was a good outcome because that's when the Bill of Rights came in. So it produced a draft constitution emphasizing the Bill of Rights, decentralization, and electoral reforms through the proposed changes. First, though the proposed changes really faced political resistance, but this was one of the most solid constitutions that we've seen. And many recommendations were either not adopted or they went down. So the National Constitution comments, the National Constitution comments that was in 2007 to 2010 to debate and refine recommendations from the Mugabe Constitutional Review Commission. It was a drafted constitution, but it faced major criticism for being too costly. Constitutional review commissions actually take quite a lot of money to set up, and failing to fully reflect a public aspiration, it did not lead to a comprehensive and new constitution, however. We move on to the technical committee on drafting the constitution. That was 2011 to 2014. Its purpose was to finalize a constitution that incorporated the previous recommendations, and this one was actually more inclusive. It was a much better constitution. So the outcome of this one, it produced the 2016 constitution, which we probably still are, because we haven't had another constitutional review commission ever since. So it produced the 2016 constitution, which introduced significant reforms, including the 50+1 electoral threshold for presidential elections and the running mate clause. As of January 2025, Zambia is not currently undergoing an active constitutional review process. However, discussions and considerations regarding potential constitutional amendments have been ongoing. As of March 2022, the Justice Minister, Mulombo Haimbe, kindly research on who is the new Justice Minister, indicated that the government was planning a constitutional review process with an estimated 45 million, and the aim was to undertake a holistic review of the Constitution, including public consultations and potential amendments. So here you can now see that this is what I was saying. It takes a lot of money for you to actually reform a constitution. So it's not something that happens overnight. So we go back to the question. From the following, identify the commission that paved way for the formulation of Zambia's electoral system. So the answer here would be the Mvunga Constitutional Review Commission, because it's the one that started or paved the way. Didn't really finalize, but it began the process. All right, so let's move on to question 2. Which electoral systems make up the mixed member proportionality system? Which two electoral systems make up the mixed member proportionality system? A, first past the post and proportional representation system. B, party list proportional representation and single member majoritarian system. C, semi-proportional representation and proportional representation system. D, single-member majoritarian system and proportional representation system. Your answer, I'll give you 5 seconds. Okay, so this topic here falls under electoral systems in Zambia. So let's understand what electoral systems in Zambia are and the different types of electoral systems that translate seats into votes. So an electoral system refers to the method by which votes are translated into seats in a legislative body. It can also mean systems that determine how representatives are selected, how votes are counted, and how political power is supposed to be distributed in parliament. So Zambia primarily it can use both. It's moving towards mixed member proportionality system, which encompasses both views of the citizens and reflects the true representation of parliament. But primarily, Zambia uses the first past the post electoral system for electing members of parliament and other officials. But however, we are starting to adopt the mixed member proportionality system. So what is this mixed member proportionality system? So the mixed member proportionality system, it's a hybrid of two electoral systems. It combines two components. So the first one is the first past the post. So whoever gets the highest votes wins. That's the definition of the first past the post. So under first past the post, voters elect representatives in single member constituencies. The candidate with the most votes wins, even if they do not secure an outright majority. So a candidate with the most votes wins. This system is simple and commonly used, but often leads to underrepresentation of smaller parties. So this is the underrepresentation of smaller parties because the majority wins. So these other parties that do not receive any votes are not even recognized. So to ensure we also try to include the minority and to ensure the minority is also included amongst the votes so that we have something that's a little bit more comprehensive, we add on to the proportional representation system. Proportional representation system. So this one is a little bit fair because now the seats are allocated to political parties based on the percentage of votes they receive nationally or regionally. And the good part about this is that it ensures that the composition of the legislature more accurately reflects the overall voting patterns. So even the smaller parties and the minority groups have a good chance of being represented. So that's the reason here. It incorporates everyone. So this combination allows for a balance between constituency-focused representation and overall fairness for party representation. So the mixed member proportionality system is the best electoral system that we can adopt. So we move back to question 2. Which two electoral systems make up the mixed member proportionality system? Answer is A, first past the post and proportional representation system. Let's move on to question 3. Monde, who has visual impairment, was given a book with a small font to read in class. What citizens' rights was being violated? Right to A, assembly, B, education, C, employment, D, on property. Okay, same thing. I'll give you 5 seconds to answer the question. All right, so the correct answer here is right to education. So let's explain why the correct answer is right to education. So in Zambia, citizens are guaranteed specific rights and freedoms under the Bill of Rights. Citizens are guaranteed specific rights and freedoms under the Bill of Rights in the Constitution. This introduction can be a good, this sentence can be a good introduction to a long type essay on the Bill of Rights. It's a very nice sentence. One of these is the right to education, which ensures that all individuals, regardless of their physical or mental condition, have equal access to education that is inclusive, accessible, and adapted to their needs. In fact, we have a variety of special needs education schools here in Zambia. There is one just next to the University Teaching Hospital of Zambia. So citizen rights in Zambia. So citizen rights are the legal entitlements and freedoms that the Constitution guarantees to all Zambian citizens. These rights ensure equality, dignity, and access to opportunities in society. And these are some of the key features. So we can categorize them. We have civil and political rights. Civil and political. So civil is your freedom of speech, assembly, and association. A political aspect would be the right to participate in elections as well as governance. You have economic, social, and cultural rights. So rights to education, access to inclusive and equitable education. Equitable is fairness. Boy child has a right to learn, girl child also has a right to learn. Age doesn't matter. Anyone is also allowed to learn. Economic, social, and cultural rights. So this is rights to employment and fair labor practices, as well as rights to adequate housing, health, and food. So these are what forms your economic, social, and cultural rights, as well as the rights for special groups, which protects special groups like women, children, as well as persons with disabilities. So we move back to question 3. Monde, who has visual impairment, was given a book with a small font to read in class. What citizen's right was being violated? So therefore, the answer is the right to education. Okay, so kindly book a session for Civic Education 2030/1 Bootcamp. This is our study system that we've created. It's a detailed question and answer session with a tutor. And this is what you're going to get. And it's going to help you prepare for your exams. Both section A, section B, and section C will be properly covered by experienced teachers. You're going to get in-depth past paper revision. You'll be able to master all the key concepts with expert explanations and added notes. And you're going to get these notes at the end of your day so that you can study them on your own. You're going to get a one-on-one tutoring session with a well-qualified tutor, and you're going to have the ability to access your recorded sessions and download them. And the price is 150 kwacha. So there are very limited slots. My type of teaching and our motto for Brainworx Education is to motivate you and equip you with critical thinking skills. And we believe a one-on-one tutoring approach is best. We do not believe in cramming students within groups. We believe in personalized guidance, one-on-one, where we meet your needs as a student and embrace your uniqueness and help you pass your civic education exams so that you can set up and achieve all your career goals. So if you want us to continue this session, kindly book, and happy learning.